I haven't really got round to see many movies in April, mainly because there weren't many released that I like the look of. So I've only seen 4 this month, but we'll be reviewing 3 this video because I want to review Iron Man 2 in detail. Anyways, without further ado, the first film is Clash of the Titans. Now, I wasn't sure about this film. It looked good, but I had this feeling that it would be poorly written and that I'd walk out the theatre feeling unsatisfied. But obviously I went to see it regardless in 3D. Big mistake. It's been said countless times before in other people's reviews, and I'll say it again. If you plan on seeing this movie, if it's still out anyways, see it in 2D. 3D is a waste of money because hardly any of it is actually in 3D. I found myself through parts of the film actually taking the glasses off and watching it without. All the 3D glasses seemed to do was make the film look darker. I believe the director decided to put it in 3D at the last minute and just to get more money out of us. Now that I've got that out of the way, I can actually review the content of the film. For the most part, it was good. Entertaining popcorn movie. The script is a little bit cheesy. I'll say cheesy. Especially the part of the film when Mads Mikkelsen's character starts to train Perseus in the woods. I mean, that scene's been done countless times in other movies. One thing I did really enjoy was Ralph Fiennes as Hades and Liam Neeson as Zeus. They fit the parts really well. I mean, they had the look, the voice. When Zeus shouts, "Release the Kraken!" it's like he was born to say that line. The rest of the cast is great. They got the guy who played King Theoden from Lord of the Rings. Like I said earlier, Mads Mikkelsen. Gemma Arterton, who is in some more movies coming out in the next few months. Pete Postlethwaite as well. Sam Worthington as Perseus was okay, but his character seemed a bit shallow. Jason Flemyng, this has really been his year so far. He starred as the evil sorcerer guy in Solomon Kane and played the doorman in Kick-Ass who gets his mouth blown open by Hit Girl, and now he plays Perseus' dad, who has been turned into a sort of monster by Hades to kill Perseus. The creatures and monsters were fantastically designed. The Kraken is amazing, but you probably know that anyways if you've seen the trailer. Medusa, I believe they got a Russian model to play. I mean, she's obviously in CG, but I think the face was based on her. Even though she is part snake, and if you looked in her eyes you would turn to stone, I'd still hit that. The ending is pretty poor. There is a quote which I really liked, however. Hades says to Perseus, "I'm a god, I will live forever." And then Perseus just looks at him and says, "But not here." And then catches a lightning bolt with his sword and throws it to Hades. A little bit corny, but you gotta love that line. Overall, it's not a brilliant film. It's disappointing to see it in 3D, but I would be lying if I said that I didn't enjoy it. Second film is Shelter, one which attracted me just from seeing the poster in the cinema. Didn't expect much from this film, to be honest with you. I didn't watch the trailer before going in to see it. I'd heard that it was like The Ring, but I can't really remember that movie, so I didn't really know what to expect. The storyline is basically a psychiatrist is given an assignment by a father, if I remember correctly, to basically examine someone suffering from multi-personalities. Might as well start off with the things I did like. I liked the scene when Julianne Moore, who plays the psychiatrist by the way, first meets the patient in the room. It had a really nice camera trick when the camera pans towards John Rhys Meyers in the mirror and then turns to show Julianne Moore. It's hard to explain, but if you're definitely planning on seeing this film, just look out for it within the first 10 minutes. I also liked it when Myers' character first starts to turn into his second personality. I don't know if what I said just makes any sense there, but he answers the phone and the guy on the other end asks for, I don't know, Bob. His other personality, I shit myself. Sorry for swearing, but that really caught me by surprise. He just slams the table and bends his neck backwards and turns into his other self. After that, John's character seems to don other personalities from his victims. Julianne Moore then finds out that all of his personalities are killers, and a family becomes in danger. It all sounds really complicated, but I don't know how to describe it. Our favourite scene is when Julianne Moore takes John in his wheelchair into the woods. He then starts to have visions which are really creepy, and she becomes in danger when she turns her back on him, and he then turns again into his other self. About 3/4 of the way in, the movie started to get supernatural. Witches of sorts became involved, and it all turned into something which it shouldn't. I'd prefer it to have just been a thriller and not a supernatural movie, but regardless, it was an alright film. The ending was brilliant. Just when you think it's all safe, bang, it hits you when you least expect it, and you really get goosebumps. This isn't really a film which you need to see this month. I mean, it was okay, but I imagine that it won't make an awful lot of money. So if you're a fan of this type of movie, if you're a fan of movies like The Ring, then you should like this. The third film and the last film that I'm going to talk about today is The Ghost. I actually don't know the correct title for this film. I'm led to believe that in America it's known as The Ghost Writer, but at the beginning of the film it says The Ghost, and at the end credits it says The Ghost Writer, so I'll just call it The Ghost because it's shorter. I didn't like the look of this movie, to be honest. The trailer didn't interest me, but I have heard that the director Roman Polanski is somewhat of an iconic director. I'm not familiar with his movies, but from what I've heard he's pretty good. So I went to see this movie regardless. The film is about a writer who is hired to complete the memoirs of a former British Prime Minister, but ends up finding out more than he bargained for, which ends up putting his life in jeopardy. Basically, the Prime Minister's ex-ghostwriter was killed, and his body washes up the shore, so Ewan McGregor's character tries to find out exactly what happened and believes that he may be next. Pretty interesting enough to keep you captivated for maybe an hour, but at times this movie did get a little bit boring. There's a lot of talking involved, so you really need to be in the right mood to see it. Be warned, it may get a tad bit complicated, but you should get through it okay. Surprisingly, there was an awful lot of swearing. That doesn't bother me because I'm a fan of Quentin Tarantino's films, In Bruges, The Big Lebowski, but I was just surprised at how many times they said the F word. If you count it as just a conspiracy thriller, it's pretty decent, but at times it tries to be an action film. I did like the part where Ewan McGregor is getting followed and he boards a ferry to try and escape, but his pursuers get on the ferry as well, so he jumps off the ferry. That scene is pretty good, I have to admit. You're really on the edge of your seat. In conclusion, it's okay. You really have to enjoy this type of film. Very slow paced, dull look to the film with a lot of dialogue to fully appreciate it. So yeah, I'll end it here. Right now I'll get to reviewing Iron Man 2 on a separate video. I'll hopefully have it uploaded by tomorrow night, so check that out. Right now I need to go to college, so have a nice day.